We love getting your questions, so we want you to keep them coming via Facebook, Twitter, and on our webpage. Who knows, we might just answer your question here in the studio audience next.
Knowing that it was an accident, shooting my wife, Annie, I still feel guilty. I have nightmares about that night. They range from once a week, a couple times a week. The nightmares are just horrendous. They almost feel like I'm possessed. It's so scary. And I don't know how to stop it or fix it.
So Daniel, thank you for joining us today.
No, thank you guys.
So Halloween night,
Halloween night.
5 years ago, you accidentally shoot your wife.
Yeah, worst night of my life.
Yeah. When did the nightmare start?
The nightmare started, it was probably within a week or two. I mean, I had to lay next to her in bed. And the first part of it, she couldn't leave the bed. So I had to lay next to her in bed and deal with the consequences of it. And so the nightmares have gone on since then.
Take us back to the night of the shooting. What happened?
The night of the shooting, we had some of her family over, and her cousin wanted to see my new firearm, which was a new used firearm. So everybody was kind of in the kitchen area congregating. So I said, okay, I'll show you the firearm. Pulled the firearm out, because in New Mexico you can carry a firearm concealed in your car without a permit, as long as you're legal to own. So as I was clearing the firearm, of course, I've been around them since I was a child, and I had my hand completely under the trigger guard, pulled the slide back. As I was pulling the slide back, it discharged with the slide in my hand. And at that moment in time, she was coming to get me and say, we need to go trick-or-treating. So she walked in. It just happened to be the worst possible timing ever.
Now, when you have these nightmares, since you say the nightmares aren't necessarily about the moment, the discharge, her being impacted, and the rest, what is the nightmare about? Is it about her pain? Is it about?
It's not about anything. It's more of just the body clenching, the growling. I feel like I'm lifting off the bed sometimes.
So it's more like you feel angry at yourself. Like
yeah,
it's more like it's just like.
Yeah, you watch the horror movies about possession, and you see the poor little girl in the horror movie being possessed. She's off the bed and she's clenched up. That's what I feel like in my nightmare.
Yeah.
And so now let me ask you, do you guys still have guns in the home?
Yes.
And how do you feel about that, Annie?
It's very, very mixed emotions. I do think, I agree with having a gun in the home for protection, but I refuse to hold them. I refuse to be in the same room as them. I refuse to be around them. I don't even like looking at them. I have a hard time with any type of gun, looking at a gun. Fireworks scare me to death. I'm still really scared of them. I just can't. They're in a safe, so as long as they're in there, I'm okay.
It doesn't sound like you're okay, though.
Yeah, I'm really not okay. Like, we've had arguments about that, and I've told him, like, how could you have something that I say ruined my life, but I know it didn't ruin my life, but I'm dealing with that right now. I feel like it ruined my life, and I explained to him, like, imagine if I had poisoned you, or you'd eaten a muffin that you know is poisonous, and it almost killed you, and then I still want to buy that muffin, and I just want to eat it. I mean, to me, having a gun is almost like that. Like, guns almost ruined my life, and we still have one, so I'm trying to get past it, but it's hard.
Well, because there's a such thing as re-victimizing the victim. What if it were you, where something almost killed you, literally, but she still continued to bring it into the house?
I really don't have a clear-cut answer for her. It's just, I hate to say it, I just really don't.
Would you be open to not having them in the house?
I would. It'd be tough because, like I said, it's been a part of me since I was a kid.
Hold that thought for us. We'll be right back with more from Annie and Daniel. Coming up.
So your life, I feel like, could even get better because of this event.
We love getting your questions, so we want you to keep them coming via Facebook, Twitter, and on our webpage. Who knows, we might just answer your question here in the studio audience next.